All right, now that we know about mass number, atomic number, and elemental symbols, we can put this all together in what is known as atomic symbols. Okay, so let's say we have an element and its symbol. We'll just use X for now. A lot of the times we're going to put the mass number, or we can put the mass number on the left side as a superscript. And mass number's abbreviation is actually A. On the left side, on the bottom subscript, what we do is we can put the atomic number, and the atomic number abbreviation is Z. If we ever need to, we can also put the charge of an atom, if it is an ion, here in the right superscript. For right now, we're going to be working with all neutral atoms, but eventually we will start to put charges on ions, and it goes on the right side as a superscript. Okay? So, for instance, let's say we wanted to talk about carbon-13. For a full atomic symbol, we could use carbon. 13 is the mass number, so that goes in the left superscript. And carbon's atomic number is 6. Say, for instance, we wanted to talk about sodium, or let's say oxygen. Oxygen happens to have 8 protons, and most oxygen atoms also have 8 neutrons for an atomic number of 16. All right, so let's work on a few more examples of elements, number of protons and electrons. Okay, so let's start working on this table we have here. Okay, so for these examples, we're going to assume that these are neutral atoms. What that means is that if it's neutral, the atom has the exact same number of protons in its nucleus and electrons surrounding it. So for this example, we can see that we have 6 protons, and that must mean we have also 6 electrons if it is in fact neutral. The atomic number is equal to the number of protons, and that is 6, so that is also its atomic number. The mass number was the sum of the protons and neutrons, and so 6 plus 6 is 12. Now, for what element this is, we're actually going to have to break out our periodic table of the elements. And on the periodic table of the elements, we'll find a couple things. Of course, we'll find the element's name, usually. I guess all periodic tables have a little bit different information, but I like to use ones that, of course, have the name. The element's symbol, the 1 or 2 letter abbreviation, and then it will also contain atomic number and the atomic mass, which again was the average mass of all the isotopes, taking into account their isotopic abundance. Okay, so for this instance, we know we have an element with an atomic number of 6, or 6 protons. So on the periodic table, we're going to find the element with 6, and that of course is carbon, something that we've been working on a lot. Okay, so now the next line, all we know about this element is that it has an atomic number of 19. So that means it has 19 protons. If, again, we're assuming that these are neutral atoms, 19 protons. If it's neutral, it also has 19 electrons. Now, for the number of neutrons or number of mass numbers, we actually need a little bit more information. Okay, so let's pretend this table had a mass number, or actually, let's go with number of neutrons is 21. Let's say that was given to us. So the number of neutrons plus the protons, 21 plus 19, is 40. So this element has a mass number of 40. To find out what element it is, well, of course, we're going to look at the atomic number or the number of protons, 19 in both cases. And so we can go to the periodic table and find out that element number 19 is potassium that has a symbol of K. Okay, so for the next one, we know that this element has a mass number of 23 and 11 electrons, and we can figure out everything else with that information and, of course, the periodic table. 11 electrons for a neutral atom means that it will also have 11 protons. If it has 11 protons, that means it is element number 11 or atomic number 11. The mass number gives us how many neutrons this element has. 23 minus 11 is 12. So with 12 neutrons and 11 protons, a mass number of 23. So what element is this? We're going to have to look for element number 11, or the element with atomic number of 11 protons, and that is sodium, which has a elemental symbol of Na. All right, the next line gives us information about the element. It tells us that the element has a symbol N, which of course represents nitrogen. Nitrogen's atomic number is 7, and so that will help us fill out the rest of this table. The atomic number is 7, so that means it has 7 protons, of course. With 7 neutrons and 7 protons, we know that the mass number is 14. And then, of course, if it's neutral, it also has 7 electrons. The next line gives us a mass number and number of protons, and of course, if we have a periodic table, we can figure out the rest. The number of protons is 80, so that means it has 80 for an atomic number. And if it's neutral, that also means it has 80 electrons. The mass number is 200, and so that means that 200 minus 80 is 120, or 120 neutrons. And then to find out what element this is, we would look for the atomic number of 80. That gives us an element mercury, which has a symbol Hg. Our last line actually gives us the element symbol and mass number written as its isotope. So that's Au-197. Au is the elemental symbol for gold, and so that's how we're going to figure out how many protons it has, because it has an atomic number of 79. If it has 79 atomic number, of course, that means it has 79 protons. A neutral atom would also then have 79 electrons. The mass number, or the number of neutrons we get from using this symbol, Au-197. Of course, when we say gold 197, we're referring to its mass number. 197 is its mass number. And then 197 minus 79. Punch this in our calculator just so we make sure we get it right. 118. 118 neutrons is what gold 197 has.